In alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam Allah wa rasulullah. We're continuing with the topic of keys to living and practicing Islam. As Muslims, we have to be reminded that our purpose in life is to worship Allah and to prove to Him that we believe in Him. So we try to maintain the status of being on His team in life, Allah's team. So we begin each day and we end each day by remembering Him. We remember Him throughout the day in good times and when faced with bad times. We know that there is no power, there is no might other than His. So we trust in Him. We believe in Him. We know that because of Him, He will cause us to survive. No matter what our state is. As long as our heart is pumping, He will cause us to survive. So we maintain this trust with Him, this belief in Him. And we try to surround ourselves with righteous other believers so they can remind us when we fall short. They can encourage us when we find ourselves weakening. They can support us when we need that help. So we choose good, righteous friends to surround ourselves with. Well, there's another key to living Islam that I want us to try to implement too. And that key is to maintain a sense of confidence in your relationship with Allah. But don't become too overly confident, because that's the test. The test in life is to try to develop a good relationship with Allah. And once you achieve it, your personal jinn is going to try to take you away from that. He's going to push you to become overly confident. And we have to be careful of this. There are so many Muslims today who fall victim to overconfidence. They think just because they've learned their religion, they feel that they have a good understanding of their purpose. They're learning, the Quran, they're learning the Sunnah, they're trying to implement it. They become too confident. They believe that just because they are fulfilling their obligations, that they have reached the level of closeness needed to be with Allah. So they even go so far, they let their personal jinns now push them to make them believe that they are true allies of Allah. You never want to get that confident. You never want to get that confident. The reality is, guys, the fact that you have reached a level of closeness with Allah puts you at risk. Because that jinn that's assigned to you, he's going to attack you from the front, from the back, from the left, from the right, to make you fall out of grace with Allah. And the fact that you think that you're that comfortable with Him proves that your relationship with Allah is not as good as you think it is. Look at our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He never became too confident. This is why he used to make supplication over 100 times a day. People used to ask him, why are you supplicating when Allah has already said He would forgive you of your sins? The Prophet said, why should I become that cocky, that confident? So again, guys, this is something that we are all going to have to work on. Not allowing ourselves to become so confident that we end up becoming targets of shaitan. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said, the people of paradise will not regret anything except for one thing. They will regret the fact that even an hour passed them by in which they did not remember Allah. So what do you learn from that? You learn that the true believer should never believe himself to have done enough. The true believer should never allow himself to become so overly confident in his relationship with Allah where he thinks, that's it, I'm going to paradise, I have nothing else to do. Unfortunately, guys, a lot of Muslims are destroyed with this overconfidence. Confidence is something that we have to have. But just like love, just like hatred, we have to balance those things out in moderation. You don't want to become too confident, just like you don't want to become too in love, just like you don't want to become too hateful. Everything within moderation in Islam. And again, it's your personal jinn that pushes you to be overconfident. Your personal jinn, he will give you the false sense of hope as a means of pulling you away from Allah, because he knows that this false sense of security that you have turns into arrogance. And once it turns into arrogance, it will lead to your destruction. And that's it, guys. There's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. We should all achieve confidence within ourselves. But if you push it too far, it becomes arrogance. And again, anyone with even an ounce of arrogance in his or her heart will never be removed from the hellfire. It doesn't matter what good deeds you did in this world. So we have to be careful to walk the thin line between confidence and arrogance. Listen to what Allah tells us in a beautiful hadith qudsi. He says, pride is my cloak, and arrogance is my robe, and whoever competes with me in regards to either of these things, I will cast into the hellfire. Remember, guys, Shaitan, he was the chosen jinn. Allah chose him to live amongst the angels in paradise long before he even created Adam. But it was Shaitan's confidence, his overconfidence, that caused him to become arrogant and eventually kicked out of paradise and damned forever to the hellfire. He allowed that overconfidence to turn to arrogance by overestimating his relationship with Allah. He thought that Allah loved him more than anything. He thought that he was the best creation of Allah. He refused to accept Adam. He refused to bow down to Adam. That's how overly confident he was in his relationship with Allah. You do not want to make the same mistake that he made. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for betterment between you and Allah, guys. And I hope this is clear to everyone here. Okay, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us how he was able to look into the hellfire one day and he saw a woman being punished because of her choices in regards to a cat. He also told us of a woman he saw being punished, and this woman used to do a lot of prayers in this world. She used to give in charity in this world, but yet all her good deeds were lost because she chose to gossip. As Muslims, we have to humble ourselves before Allah. We have to realize that there are always consequences for the choices that we make. None of our choices are automatically accepted by Allah. Just because you think that you understand your religion now, just because you think that you all that in a bag of chips, doesn't mean that Allah is going to just automatically accept you. No, you have to humble yourselves before Him. Never allow yourself to feel overly confident. So, thus, Guy, another great key to living and practicing Islam is to never become overconfident in your relationship with Allah. Yes, we need to have confidence within ourselves. Without confidence, you will never be able to grow into a strong Muslim. But don't allow it to turn into arrogance. Remember, we were created to worship Allah, and our lives here on earth are simply tests to see if we are deserving of being with Him. We live our lives hoping to attain that ultimate goal of paradise, but we should never become confident that that goal is in our hands. We want the goal to be within our reach, but never think it is within your grip. Because to think it's in your grip means you think the battle to be won, and then you will stop fighting. Does everybody understand that? The true believer knows that the battle never ends until the soul is pulled from the throat. So the true believer fights for that goal, never becoming overly confident of the victory until it's given to him on the day of judgment. Does everybody understand that? So again, another great key. Be confident, but never become overly confident in your relationship with Allah. There's always room for betterment. There's always room for improvement. You're just a human being. We make mistakes. Sometimes we make choices that are good for us. Sometimes we make choices that are bad for us. Never allow Shaitan to push you to become like him, where you take your relationship with Allah for guarantee or granted. On that note, we'll stop right here for today. Tomorrow we'll continue by speaking of another key that will help us to live and practice Islam. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik.